Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. I am your intrepid host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to send prayers that you will continue to receive and accept the blessings from the universe. Now, this topic for the discussion is prompted by a recent visit that I personally had one on one with a person who considers themselves to be a warrior for Christ. Now, I want to say right off the bat, this is not to, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that. That's not my point about this. My point about this is that those people who consider themselves to be warriors for Christ, and I used in the title guru, because they seem to know that everything revolves around the Bible and that only the Bible exists. There are no other texts. And for some reason, they seem to think that the current version of the Bible, which, as I've done videos on, has been changed by man many times. New publications. About a year or so ago, the Pope came out and said there's the New Catholic Bible, and that any true Catholic should throw their old Bible away and get the new one. Now, as I've stated, and it says in the last chapters of Revelation, that any man who changes the word of God shall be written out of the tree of life forever. So these people are actually changing the word of God. They're changing the text to suit them. They say, well, we're using newer terms. No, they're leaving things out. I've made several references in some of my previous videos about the old Catholic Bible that I had. And being raised a Catholic, I used that Bible, and it was very easy to read and comprehend. Didn't There weren't any of these and thous and ye's and lords and that and blah blah blah. And a lot of the words like worship was actually the word adore was used. So I've asked people, please, you want to use the new text, but if you really wish to consider yourself a true Christian, you should read the old text before anybody changed it. And I refer back to the old text. Now, I use the Bible many times. In fact, I did a video recently, and I got to go back and rename it. I said John, and it should have been James. It's James chapter 2 towards the back of the Bible. And I read pretty much the whole thing and gave my personal view on it, etc., and how it relates to shamanism. So my discussion with this Bible guru, as I'm going to call him, is that, that he knew everything about the world because the Bible told him so. Now, I bring this up because there are many people who are like this. Now, in some traditions, they're called Bible thumpers. And okay, those folks could be included in that they've got some kind of verse that they can spout off at a minute's notice that from the Bible that fits any particular theme or reaction or whatever is going on at the time. Now, some of those is like really good, but it's like, there's so much more to the world than just the Bible. And I've had this discussion, and when I brought this up that Jesus actually one of the most truest shamans, and this person was like, "Oh no, Jesus wasn't a shaman." And I said, "You know what a shaman is?" Well, a shaman, that's some guy that studies, and I'm like, hang on, wait, hang on to this. A true shaman is pure of heart. A true shaman is compassionate. A true shaman is in service to others, not for being that way. So during the conversation and so forth, this Bible guru decides to tell me about the Bible and how Jesus was, and that well, Jesus didn't need anything, and and the apostles, and okay. So at the same time, he's telling me that I reject the monetary system as it exists today. and I reject the social values and I reject these things and I'm going by the word of God. And after he finishes that, there's about a 30-second, maybe a minute pause. Can I have a cigarette? Well, I'm like, but you don't have any. Well, no. Well, but if you're a godly person, so he's like wants to put this on me. So because I have cigarettes, then I should give to him freely. Why? Well, because he said so. Well, the Bible says, and Jesus says, and I'm following Jesus, and I'm a warrior for Christ, then therefore you should help support me. And whoa, hang on, wait a minute. Well, if you're saying that money's no good and that bartering is actually the only way, what do you have to barter? I'll barter with you. Well, I have nothing. Well, you have your time. Yeah, but that time is mine. Okay, and so are my cigarettes. Now, I had to play through the system. Hold that thought. Excuse me. Now, I spent my years, I'm 66 and retired. I spent my time. I put into Social Security since the day I was 13 and started working in the 99er restaurant in Tampa in the kitchen as a dishwasher. And it's like, listen, now you want to tell me, and you're less than half my age, that you've got all the answers and that because you are a warrior for Christ, then you can just walk around and let other people take care of you. Well, but that's what Christ did. Yeah, well, not necessarily. Those times and now times are a lot different. So it's like, because he professes to be a Bible guru and a warrior for Christ, then the rest of us should support him. Even though I have to play the system, I have to live off of my limited Social Security check. But because you decide to just drop out of society and claim to be a guru, a Bible guru, and a warrior for Christ, that gives you the right to like drop out of society. Well, wait a minute, a shaman wouldn't do that. A shaman plants gardens. A shaman grows things. A shaman does things for other people and barters. A shaman will do something, and in return, people will give them things. Jesus did things and then was given things in return. This particular person did nothing at all, but said, but because he stated he was a warrior for Christ, that he assumed that all these things should be naturally given. And I'm like, wait a minute, hang on. I somehow I think you kind of missed the point here. Well, but Jesus walked around and did it. Yeah, but he performed miracles. He did things. He preached to folks. What are you doing? Well, I'm professing that I'm a warrior for Christ. Good. I'm glad. I really am. I don't mean that. But how, because you've made that statement, are you now saying, well, because I've rejected money and I have rejected society, when I come to you, because I'm part of the system, because I get a Social Security check, you should give of what you've earned to me because of what I have professed? And I'm like, no. I'm sorry. In the world, in the realm of shamanism, that's like a no-no. You're a leech, and leeches are to be taken off and thrown back. Anything that's blood sucking and a parasite, I mean, no. Do you, if a mosquito is drawing blood out of you, do you look at the mosquito and go, well, go ahead. I know you're hungry. Just go ahead and keep chomping on me. Leave a whelp. It's okay. You're a mosquito and God made you, so therefore you can feed off my arm. Oh, hell no. Get off me. Splat. No, 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 no. I'm sorry. But there are some basic rules that is like, sorry about that. So because I consider myself a shaman in training, me myself, I look at things and I try to always walk the walk the talk. And I see these other people who are referring to, the Bible. Some of them are Bible thumpers. They'll be able to, chirp out some, they can't remember last other things, but they can, spit out these Bible verses. And I think to myself, but wait a minute, but what is that? What good is that doing you? Are you actually walking your own talk? Or are you professing something, and so you're kind of like living vicariously through this? And I bring this up because it goes back to James chapter 2, not John, but James chapter 2, in that a body without a soul is dead. Faith without works is also dead. So those folks who profess the faith but don't walk their talk, what am I to say to that? Now, I try to be a humble human being, and I looked at this person and I gave more than I probably should have, but in that it's not my place to judge. And I could go more into this, but to the point though, um, there wasn't a time during my interaction with this individual where the individual actually wished to do something for me at any time. But for several days with my interaction with this person, I was supposed to give to them every time they asked, and without question, and but somehow I was to feel guilty if I didn't do what they asked. I said, look, if you need something, you ask me. Well, okay, I want another cigarette. Well, do you have any? No. Well, now you're smoking my cigarettes. I'm on a diet. I'm on a limit. So for every one of your cigarettes, that means one I don't get to smoke, or I can't, or whatever. And I'm already on my own personal restriction. And now you want to take from my personal stash, if you will. How many do I smoke a day? And I'm at 2.5 packs. I'm down to less than a pack a day. So now it's like, okay, well, now am I being greedy because I have to share? Oh, but now, so the guilt gets put on me that it's my fault now because I don't want to share my limited resources. Where this person who is trying to preach to me that, oh, the social structure and the monetary system, what it doesn't matter in my life, but you want to take from this, you want to leech off of the same monetary system that you claim that you don't want any part of. You understand what I'm confused. So this person was kept going back to Bible rhetoric, but you still didn't answer my question. If you're against all this, the money system and all this, then why are you begging for cigarettes without offering to do something? Can you sing? Can you tell a poem? Can you do anything in return for what you're asking? Or is it simply because you state you're a warrior for Christ that gives you the right to ask for things and for other people to just give freely without any question and without remorse? It's like, well, what if I say no? Well, but Dad, I thought you were a spiritual being. And it was like, wait a minute, here now. So in their Christ consciousness, now they're judging me because I choose no. There are a lot of times I want a cigarette. It's my pack. And I say no to myself. So it's like, wait a minute, if I say no to you, I'm saying no to myself. Because for everyone I give you, I got to say no to me. So I'm already saying no. I'm saying no to me and you. I can't have one and neither can you. But wait a minute, now you want to try to make me feel guilty? But you're a warrior for Christ. That's what you keep going back to. You're a warrior for Christ. You're a Bible guru. You know what God said. You know what the reality is. You understand all realms and you understand these things. But you have made yourself a self-prophecy of guruship, saying, well, I'm not going to have partake in this monetary system of the world, but I'm going to beg from you. Sorry. That's in shamanism. That's not how it works. So now, to stop beating up on the Bible guru, My point to this is that a true shaman, a true, in my opinion, because I consider myself a warrior for Christ as well, but in a much larger, grander scheme that's universal, not just this planet or not just Christians. I mean, this goes out to the universe and all beings and all things. So my idea, of the Christ consciousness is very expansive to what other people will even allow themselves to believe. In fact, when I brought it up to this person, I was like, well, I believe that God is just the God of this planet, but I believe in the creator who created God, Jesus, and all so I believe in an even higher being than God, that God was just the person in charge, the manager of this area. Oh my God. Well, no, you can't. Oh, that's heresy. That's blasphemy. Okay. But can you walk your own talk? That's all I'm asking. Can you walk your own talk? A shaman must. It's part of the deal. You're not a shaman. If you want to talk about it, but you're not willing to do it, if you're not willing to sacrifice, whatever it is. And in my own walk, there's been several times a day I wanted to light up a cigarette. And I said, no, no, I have the choice. I really want one. And sometimes self-consciously, I'll just grab one and light it, take a couple of puffs and go, dang, I broke my own rule. And I put it out. But that's my own self choice. But for somebody else to make that judgment for me, who considers themselves an expert in the Bible and that what Jesus and the Lord and God and all the prophecies have to do with this. Well, wait a minute. I said something that may not be in the Bible. But which version are you reading? Well, I'm reading the new version. Well, but in the new version, it's left out Psalms, they've left out passages. It's not the same Bible. They've rearranged words, they've substituted one word for another, and which changes the whole context of the read. And so it's like, if you want to quote the Bible to me, then quote the old text. Don't give me something that's printed 3 years ago. Don't give me the new Bible version. Sorry about that. You're going to preach to me about some of these things, then go back to the original, please. Because everything else is distorted, period. Bottom line. Now, there are many things as a Catholic, and it's an altar boy and all that stuff, and being pedioed by 4 different priests in Tampa. I've been speaking about this for a long time. There are a lot of things that's going to come out of the Vatican that's just going to literally freak people out. It's like when I mentioned to this person, I said, when Jesus disappeared, he went east. He went to study and teach Buddhism. What? Oh, no, he didn't. I said, okay, so then where was Jesus? Well, Jesus was out in the desert and he already knew everything. And I said, well, yeah, but Jesus talked at 12 years old when he was in the temple, and the Pharisees didn't understand him. The reason that Jesus went to be with Buddhist and higher level individual thinkers was because he had all this information, but he didn't have the ability to be able to discern it and be able to speak it correctly to the people. Jesus, he learned from the Buddhist how to teach what he knew. He went and shared with these higher level thinkers so that he, as a human, could understand the human condition of spirituality. And then when he received and understood, he came back and taught. And this gentleman I thought he was going to yank his hair out. Oh, that can't be. And I was like, listen, that's one of the Vatican secrets, that Jesus actually studied and practiced and went east to learn meditation, to learn how to control, to learn not just to learn things about the universe. He already knew those, but he need to learn it as a human being in this physical form before he could relate it to other people. And I'm a heretic again. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. In my opinion, It makes perfect sense. Any person who's, 12 years old and in the temple telling the Pharisees what's going on, they ain't going to listen to this kid. First of all, he's going to have to leave home and then come back. He's going to have to learn how to channel his own energy, channel his own voice, which is part of God, as we all are. And that, so when he received, quote, an enlightenment point, he realized within himself, I now have enough confidence that I may go teach this, go forth and teach. But for some reason, that's heresy. Okay. But it makes sense if you really think about it. But that's some of the secrets that people are going to get freaked out about. And he did. And so, but immediately he went back into the thumping in that I have another verse. Well, okay, fine. But again, I'm going to go back to the thing. Which Bible are you using? Is the verse you're using the original verse? Or has man changed it in the different printings over the years to suit himself? Oh, well, that can't happen. Oh, yes, it can. Here, let me show you. Come to this computer. Let me show you the 35 different versions of the Bible that's available online. Old text, new text, this text, that text, this one, that one, and you can compare them all. Oh, but that what? So I'm asking a simple question. Which of these versions of the Bible are you quoting? And if you're sure it's the word of God, then how come there's so many versions? How come they've changed it? Because when you read the original version, it's not hard to understand. It's very easy to comprehend. It's the King James version, the these and thous and stuff. But when you go back and read before King James, it's like, oh, holy crap. Why did King James even remove Psalms out of the Bible to begin with? Why did these people decide, well, and I'm going to change how it's written? And I've done videos on this, and you please do your own research. I was surprised. And so, again, which one are you quoting? And are you sure that's what they said? Or are you taking the word of the publisher of that version of Bible? To me, I think that's a valid question. As a shaman in training, I would question, fine, if you have this, but where did your text originate from? The idea is good, the idea that the true self and this and that, but now where are you getting this idea that because you claim to be a warrior for Christ, you're automatically supposed to receive like free shit from the rest of us simply because you claim you are and that it's expected of you? What makes you so bold to be able to say, I'm a warrior for Christ, therefore you should give to me? What? In that one statement, it's like, wait a minute, if you're a true warrior for Christ, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't expect anything from anyone. You would expect to serve for others. Instead, these folks are going, I'm a Bible guru and I'm a warrior for Christ, and because I say so, now you must give. Nope. Sorry. In order to do that, you must walk your own talk. You must be in service to others, not to yourself. Well, I'm a warrior for Christ and I want a cigarette. Well, if you're a warrior for Christ, then you should know that a cigarette's bad for you in that respect. And well, then why are you bumming for me? Well, because I'm a warrior for Christ. And that gives you the excuse to what? So there are a lot of folk out there, but I've just encountered another one, a very close, intense conversation over several days, and realizing how many people are using that excuse that, well, I'm a warrior for Christ, and therefore, well, hang on. Christ fed the multitudes. He didn't say, bring me food. He said, bring what you got, and he multiplied it. So in that respect, Jesus gave much more then, and in fact, I doubt he seriously asked for anything, but what he asked for, he shared in, 100-fold, if you will, the loaves and the fishes. Okay, fine. And to the point, though, that there were baskets full of leftovers, more than they had originally. So, how did this happen? So, did Jesus go into town and say, okay, all y'all in town, you got to feed us? No, Jesus said, what you got, and I'm going to feed everybody. That's the difference. And as a shaman, that would be your goal. I have these things to offer. Who needs them? I can get by without this here. So my test in this over the last few days in my world was the test of a shaman itself. It's like, here's a person who's asking, regardless of the reason why they're asking. They're asking. Now, do I have a right to be able to say, well, no, you can't? Well, I'm sorry, but you can live without a cigarette. I'm just saying, you know. Now, if it's food, here's food. I made coffee. I shared. I even took it to them, served them. Here's your coffee. Here's a morning cigarette because I know you like one when you get up. And here's some and here's some food if you want it. And then the next thing was that, but I'm a warrior for Christ. Therefore, I deserve it. Okay, is there anything you can do back? Any kind of repayment in any way, like maybe like pick up your own garbage? Oh, but I have to stoop down and pick it up because you can't. You don't want to. Oh, but you made the mess. I brought you, but then you can't clean up your. Oh no, then that's now it's on me. Oh well, now what about this? Well, well, I deserve it. Why? How? What? Hang on. So I had to take a very hard look at like the idea of where this is coming from, and I see it in a lot of other folk. And I talk about it, but it's like I'm making a judgment call when I do so. But in this conversation, I'm making an observation. Okay. Now you may say, well, aren't you making judgment? Well, I'm not going to condemn these folks. Do I think these folks are right? No, because if you're listening to their own words, then they contradict themselves right at the midpoint where it becomes beneficial to themselves. And now they swing back the other way. So I ask people, please understand where you're from, understand where you're going. The idea of shamanism versus a Bible guru is that a shaman doesn't need a book. The truth is in the universe. A Bible guru relies heavily upon words that they're not even sure who wrote them because of the many iterations of the Bible, but they are very willing to condemn me and quote my shaman lifestyle in that I must serve them, but they're not in service to me. Because I am a shaman, well, then you must give to me because you're a shaman. But aren't you claiming the same thing? You're claiming Christ consciousness. If that's true, and I believe in Christ consciousness, then shouldn't you be in service to others? No, you must serve me. What? Hang on here. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on. I really don't understand this. But then the quotes come more out of the Bible. So, but as a shaman, it must come from your heart. It must come from the inside, and it must be given freely. No one coerces me into doing something for another person. I choose to do so. And I had the opportunity to choose to help a person or not to. And I chose to do so. Boy, was it an experience, let me tell you. Now, it's not that I regret it, not at all. But it was at the same point, not at all what I was expecting. And in that term, I was like, well, this is strange. I've met many people over the years, homeless folks needing a place to respite or whatever. I've set tents up for people for months on end. Provided them a place to cook their meals in my house, use the toilet and the shower, and basically be a camp counselor. So this is not new to me, and this ain't my first roundup. But the idea that now I know this is just one person, but I was noticing it with people. It's like I'm homeless and things have turned out badly for me and this and that and the other thing. And well, you owe it to me because I feel compassionate. Well, then if you're compassionate, then I'm going to make you feel compassionate. Instead of just bumming a cigarette, you're going to buy me a pack of cigarettes because I'm going to shame you into it. And I'm like, this is just like, this isn't supposed to be how it's supposed to go. In my shaman realm, this is supposed to be compassion for each other. If there's one cigarette, it doesn't go to you, we share it. And in their world, it's like, you got one left? Oh, because you're the shaman, then you must give it to me. Because if you're compassionate, I really need it. And I don't. For whatever reason, but to the point that they make the judgment call for those of us who are trying to that we are actually walking our own walk and walking our talk. So it was interesting for me to have to make certain decisions in that, well, this isn't a life-threatening situation. He was in jail for a day without smokes. And so what's a couple of hours going to make if I don't give him a cigarette right away? It's because he wanted it right now. And it was my obligation to get it for him. But what if I don't want to give you one right now? Well, but I want it right now. So I'm working in the garden. When I'm done in the garden, we'll both have one. Yeah, but I want one now. Sorry. If you don't have any yourself, then you'll wait until I'm through. I'm sorry. And then when I was through, I did exactly what I said. Even though I was the one working, I went and got them a drink and a cigarette at the same time that I got my own drink and cigarette. And they sat and watched. And I was like, okay. Did you say thank you, by the way? Nope. Did you? Nothing. The whole idea of it was, because I am who I am, I don't have to say thank you. I don't have to say please. I just must bark commands to you, and you're expected to do so. And I'm like, this just is wacko. So I say this because I'm praying for individuals like this, very much so, because I'm not sure how it got distorted, but they're preaching and then begging. And if they followed the true tradition, they would bring something with them. Something. They could just be a singer or a dancer or a poet, or an artist. Here, let me draw you a picture. I'm a sketch artist. Let me do you a sketch. I don't have any money, but I'm willing to barter my talent. I'd take it. You can do a sketch? Fine. Oh, what do you want? I'll trade. But if you just come up to me and say, well, I'm a warrior for Christ, and because of that, you are expected to give to me. No, I'm not. Because now I don't willingly want to give it to you. Because you're expecting me to give it to you. And that's like counterproductive for who you claim to be. So in my realm, it's important that I walk the walk. And I was tempted several times to use the F word, and go, but I was like, no, I really am better than that now than I was years ago. But at the same time, I can understand where I was taken advantage of before, because I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. What about mine? So I have to say, well, listen, you if this is who you say you are, then why are you not walking your talk? Just asking. If it's all right for me to do what you think is right, then how come you can't do what you just claimed to me? I'm just asking for reciprocity here. It's a give and take thing, you know. Now, a sketch of me on a piece of paper may not have the same value to some people as a meal and a drink and a place to sleep. Especially when you go out of the way to make a person comfortable, and then they don't even say thanks. It's like, then why did I go for it? Why didn't I just let you sleep on the ground instead of giving you sleeping bags in a tent? Why, if you don't even want to say thank you? I mean, but you expected it of me. Oh, I see. So people are just expected to go around and clean up, provide your place, and but your statement is because you're a Bible guru and a a warrior for Christ. That excuse. So I don't regret that I helped this person. I don't regret the conversation because it gave me was an insight to how some of these folks, I mean, I heard it from not just like, well, I heard it from from the mouth of the guru. And it was like, this is kind of stunning. And the other part of this that really kind of blew me away was that how emphatic he was that he was right. And basically, I was wrong because I chose to ask him which Bible he was reading versus just, well, I've read the Bible. Yeah, but I'm sorry, but which one? And so I can be on the same page with you rather than, well, there was something funky going on back here. There's a lot of energy going on. Um, and by the way, I am going to do another video on the orbs that I took pictures of. But anyway, this seemed more important. It's an important conversation because there are people out there, and we have to be careful with them. And it's like, as a true shaman, I still have to be compassionate. And because I did have more than this individual, regardless of what he thought of me or whether or not, he didn't see it as any imposition in taking my cigarettes or food or whatever, in that it was expected of me because he is who he is. So it's like, it's another thing for people to say, man, I've been down and out. I haven't had a cigarette in 3 days. Can I have one? Here you go. Have two. And blessing to you, been there, done that. But for someone who's like, you lit a cigarette, where's mine? Hang on. Number one, you didn't ask. Number two is like, where is the right place to give you this? I'm allowing you to stay here because you were living under a bridge and the police picked you up and threw you in jail for vagrancy. And now you're asking that I'm supposed to give you cigarettes whenever you want? What? Are you not even aware of how not just myself, but other people have went out to try to help you? Yes, but it's expected because I am a warrior for Christ. I have dropped society and these things, and money doesn't mean anything to me. Then how come you're using my resources? Okay, fine. There are people out there that have this type of attitude that because they use the Bible and it's their side, whether they're a Bible thumper, just a Christian, Catholic, Baptist, doesn't matter. But if they're using the Bible as their excuse, is my point to this. It's like, wait a minute. We got to go back to these simple questions. Which text are you using? Why are you referencing this? And how come you're using the Bible to use a judgment call that you're not even supposed to be making in the first place? If you were truly Christ conscious, you would ask yourself, well, wait a minute. Like Jesus says, judge not lest ye be judged. So it's like, okay, so, the one who has no sin may cast the first stone. I'm sorry about that, but each of us has something going on. ego, something, something, something. Everybody's got a something. So none of us are qualified at all to make any judgment on the other person. So in my shaman training, I'm doing my best trying to not make a judgment call with this person. And I realized that as I was going along, well, wait a minute, I'm trying to give the person the benefit of the doubt. But then it came back to me, but you are supposed to do this for me. That I said, no, I'm not. I give because I wish to. I'm helping because I am in service to others. But for you to tell me that I'm supposed to do this without any kind of help from you or thanks, or a thank you goes a long way. Not, but yet I'm still compelled, composed because I am a shaman in training. I'm responsible for you. Interesting. I'm still mulling this over. Now, again, it's not that I'm trying to put this individual down, but I very much am wondering how many other people, and I know quite a few, but I'm just posing this question out there. How many people are using this as an excuse? Well, there are preachers out there, for example, who say, well, Jesus said that you can be profitable. Well, Jesus also said, what doth it profit a man if he gains material things but loses his own soul? And so they preach this in some of these mega churches and others where Jesus has given you the power to have, these things. Well, fine. But is that so that you can be greedy with it? And their basic premise is yes. Um, well, yeah, if you ask God and you get if you win $1 million on a lottery ticket, that's all yours. You ain't got to share it with nobody. Well, wait a minute, but if it was given from God, then God sent it so you could share it. But then you chose to twist up the words so that you can keep it. It happens all the time. And it's happened too many times personally with people that I know, and I'm like, what? Money changed them. They got a decent job, they got decent money, they moved out of a crappy neighborhood, and now all of a sudden they're so full of themselves that they wouldn't speak to a person like me anymore because I'm just so beneath them. What did I do? I'm still the same person. I chose this life to be a homesteader. I chose to be a back to the earth type person. I chose to do my own gardening without using Roundup. I've chose to raise my own chickens. I've chose to live down here on the edge of the woods. I made these choices. And you used to think it was cool until you moved on up to the east side, to the deluxe apartment in the sky. And so these folks now, I try to say hello to them on Facebook. They don't want to have anything to do with me. It has nothing to do with policy or politics or anything. Just hi or happy birthday or no, nothing, no remark back. Well, we can't, and maybe I should not even let him on my site. And that's another story. But anyway, but to the point, the idea that we need to be compassionate at all cost. And I realized that in these last few days with this thing that's as far as I really want to go about it. But in that I realized that I still must be compassionate, even if somebody's idea of what the Christ consciousness of what a spiritual warrior truly is, and the idea that what it really means in the universe, to each other, to the whole spiel of things. And I realized that even to those who, and I gotta say, there were a lot of ideas. I was like, "You got that right? Yep, yep, yep." What? Wait, what? Well, because of these things, then that gives you the whoa, wrong conclusion. Wait. You were correct about this. When you got down to what the conclusion was, that it gives you the right. Whoa. And by the way, there are people out there right now doing some things like um, how to achieve your own spiritual sovereignty. And I want to remind you all that we already have our spiritual sovereignty. It's the fact that many folk have given up their sovereignty. When we were born with spiritual sovereignty. It is society and all of these other folks out there that are swaying the topic on this. And they're saying how you can become a sovereign. Wait, well, hang on. We are already sovereign beings. The biggest thing to become one is to realize you already are. And it's almost like there's a sales pitch going on with this. How we become our spiritual selves. We already are. The thing we need to drop is how to get rid of all of these man-made BS that keeps us from being our spiritual self. That's the deal. We already are. It's all of the distractions that keep us from being who we truly are. So, in my shaman walk as a shaman in training, still after 55 years, I'm 66, and 55 years of doing this and walking the walk. Hello, Melanie, again. Green Delta, hello, just got here. Welcome. Blessings to both of you. I'm kind of sort of on a tirade, but it is, there are these people have a really good idea that things should be spiritual, and the it's like, well, if I don't believe in the Bible, then therefore I'm not going to go to heaven. And if you've heard my rants before, that ain't working for me. My granny didn't read the Bible that often, but she was one of the most spiritual persons and one of the kindest people I've ever met on this planet. And when the Bible thumpers from 3 different religions said she's going to hell because she doesn't agree with the Bible, I was like, man, you're the guys that are going to hell. But so this idea that a guru would never, a true guru would never say, if you don't believe in this, you're doomed. A true guru would say, you need to understand that this is possible. Your choice to believe it. But a shaman, as a shaman in training myself, I have spoken to other people and I say, listen, this is how it has been taught. I'm going to show you this, but it's up to you to accept what you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you download for yourself. Now, if it relates to the last 10,000 years of shaman training and beyond in the universe, when you understand this, that this petty little life here is just literally a grain of sand in the grand scheme of things. And that even though we are but a grain of sand, if it weren't for all the grains of sand, there wouldn't be a beach, so to speak. So, but anyway, sandy beach, right? Never mind. But a shaman will say something like this, as I have. You must understand, and I said must on purpose. You must understand that all things upon the earth, including the earth, is alive. Well, that throws a bunch of Christians right out the window, because they will throw in this next little thing from their Bible and say, well, but God gave us dominion over the earth so that we could rip it, tear it, shred it, pollute it, gas it, kill it, whatever. Seriously? A shaman would never say that. But a shaman would absolutely say, you must be able to sit under a tree, pick one, and understand that it's alive. You must understand that the grass beneath your feet is alive. Well, anybody in the summertime has to mow their grass. Grass grows. Is it alive? Well, yeah. But the thing is that so many people will walk across the grass and never actually give it any thought that what if all the lawns in a neighborhood got pissed off at their owners and the grass grew and swallowed their houses in the middle of the night? I know that's absurd. But to the point, though, does anybody even realize, well, my grass is alive? What does that mean? Well, it grows. Yeah, but what does that mean? It's alive. Yeah, but well, wait, but it's alive. Okay. So, in order to be a true shaman, you must understand that all things, whether even rocks breathe and exist, um, but that these things are of God, of Creator, and of the universe. And because of that, we being who we are in these 3D bodies and our spirit, we're all connected. So, yeah, you can't be a shaman unless you can kind of get at least a basic grasp of that. But it's not in any book. Shamans don't say, well, if you don't study this book and go by the rules, then you can't belong to the club. No. But as a shaman, that's it. The club exists because the more you understand that everything is connected, the more you understand your role in the universe. And that we must serve others so that we can get things in return. But when we expect things without giving, wow, that's the wrong side of the pie. And I gotta say that was severely disappointed in that with all the preaching, there was no walking, you know. And I was expecting not some grandiose gesture, not at all, but a thank you or a please. If you don't understand those basic concepts from one spiritual person to another, you can't share that please or thank you or okay. So some folks think that by design they inherit whatever's supposed to come with it. And as a shaman, you use the books to remind you of the natural things that already exist within us. It's like little triggers. I've got this book. I don't know if it comes out right for you, but it says Voices on the Wind, and it's Native American legends, and it's full of goodies. And I'm going to do an evening and tell some Native American legends, some of the ones that I know. And as a puppeteer and a storyteller, when I traveled around, I told many different types of stories, legends, and so forth. Now, I won't go into that right now, but to the point though, I read and listen and hear and go, yeah, wow, that's really interesting. I've learned something from the story, where many of you folk have learned from the story that I relate about myself and experiences. And I try to draw, some type of, not necessarily a conclusion, but I try to keep it all together, wrap it up. I might talk for 2 hours and I'll say, but I'm going to bring this back around. And I usually try to. Everything is connected. But for some of these individuals, they think that only the Bible exists and that it's the Bible, nothing but the Bible, and only the Bible that is the salvation of mankind. And you probably already know, but I think that's false. It's based upon it. It's not dependent upon it. If somebody in, I say Africa, I'm not picking on anybody, but South America, back in the day when I was growing up, there was still vast jungles in Brazil and up the Amazon. They were just barely getting into some of them tropical jungles. And now a lot of those jungles are gone and the people have been moved. But the thing is, those tribes lived in those jungles for thousands of years. Do you think that those people who lived swinging in hammocks, not killing each other, taking care of babies' mothers, and living off the land, that those people were going to hell when they died? simply because they didn't know that what the hell is a Bible and why should I follow these stupid words when a lot of times the words are contradictory to what they learned in the natural world. When you take people out of the natural world, which is why I try to keep myself in the natural world as a hermit down here, and it's not like I don't want anybody to come visit or anything like that. That's not the point. But other people can't. They say, "Oh, I can't live like that." What? I don't use like a lot of electronics. I use low wattage bulbs. Um, I'm trying to be self-sustaining. I have, containers that gather rainwater. I use my own personal fertilizer from my chickens out back in my garden. I don't use these things. And oh, but I can't live like that. You mean my countertops aren't sparkling clean and that I don't use bleach in my house? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I got it. All right. I'm a naturalist, you know, fine, but I'm a lot healthier than these people that are living in these apartments. And I'm one of the first people to be stunned about it. It's like, I thought maybe this lifestyle, people are like, well, you're going to get stomach poisoning. Well, you know, I don't wash my hands as regular as I used to, but I haven't got sick, knock on wood, in a while. So it's like, but so who's right about this? Living the way I do, trying to walk the talk that I speak, once you understand it, really actually becomes kind of simple because you don't have all these other things to distract you. But other people will use their words, their phrases, their book. Yeah, but you're not living like Jesus did. And you think you are? But wait a minute, you're going to throw stones at me because I'm trying to live as naturally with my surroundings as possible. I recycle water. I'm careful with what I do. I use rainwater. I do this and I do that in trying to work in harmony with my surroundings. You have a 1 acre lot with a house that's almost as big, 3 stories, and there's 6 of you living in the house, and you got a $2,000 a month electric bill, whereas mine's only 45. And you're trying to tell me that the way I live is wrong. That, well, you're some dirty stuff. Well, no, I choose to live as simple as possible, but you choose, and that's your choice. I'm not making, they'll pass judgment on me. Whereas it's like, if you want to live that way, okay. But they will look their nose down upon me in a heartbeat. Oh, you're some kind of what? Because I don't live at your standards? I dropped out of that crap a long time ago. So I do walk as much of the walk as of the talk as I can. Not to say I'm the perfect person, but the thing is that there are these people who throw the Bible that they're Bible gurus to make the judgment upon me. And like I was speaking to a friend, I said, I was at church one day at the Methodist church in a certain town, and I said, there was this shabbily dressed person that walked into the church. And he goes, yeah, wasn't that terrible? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, wasn't it terrible? He came in. And I said, have you read James chapter 2? Where it says the man who's dressed in fine raiment is asked to come and sit up front in front of everyone and is given a prominent place in the gathering. If a beggar comes in that same door, he will be asked to sit in the back or sit under the footstool of that person. So instead of them allowing the beggar to come in, they actually turned him away from the church service because they were all them folks were dressed in their Sunday best, and he wasn't. He came to service, and they turned him away. And that's happening, here in the South. It happens. Some of these stuck up religious folks. When I talk about some of this, I'm like, I still pray for them. But in their own view, their righteousness is because of only the Bible. They are given permission to act this way. I'm still praying because Shaman 101, the basics are intent, we're all connected, and that you must be in service to others. Now, I have to say that there have been times when I've been down on my luck and things where I've had to beg. But I thanked everybody. I threw a party. I tried to pay people back. I tried everything I could to do something in service because of what they did for me and the predicament I was in. And there was a person who gave a couple $100 to keep me from losing my property due to they hiked my taxes up, and it was a mess, and I didn't have enough money to cover it. And but anyway, but to the point, it's like now I'm a little bit more prepared with it. But to the point, though, that I tried my best to do something, even though it was after the fact. I understood what was given. And to some of these people, no, it's that we are expected to do this simply because of their statement. That's my point. At least give me a thank you. Jesus went around and said, "Peace be upon you." I mean, this person didn't even say that. So it's like, wait a minute, but you're going to spout all this Christ stuff to me. Okie dokie. It's almost like they're heretics with their own words. And as a shaman, you got to understand. And I say, and we are all shamans in training. Let me repeat that. I firmly believe, regardless of your religion, if you are trying to achieve a higher spiritual realm, being, whatever, that you are a shaman in training, because all shamans wish to achieve a higher sense of frequency, a higher sense of spirit. Excuse me. Another little bit of sip of coffee, please. But so with this, and to kind of throw this in, but it is appropriate at this time as well. There are people who are starting to say that, "Ooh, I think we're in the event." Now, if you've been hanging out with my channel, I've been telling you for the last 6 months that we're in the event, and that last week's whiteout of the Schumann resonance, which, by the way, right now is really quiet. 8:27 on a Saturday evening, March the 20 something, 2019 is a stamp. But anyway, that, oh my God, all of a sudden folks are starting to talk about, well, these energies really affect us. Now, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but as a shaman, these things are like some of the basic things. Pay attention to the world around you. Pay attention to the frequencies. Pay attention to what's given to us, and take it in. Allow this information to sink in. Other people look at it and go, "I don't. What's that got to do with me?" New study out. The magnetics of the Earth is now scientifically proven with a group study between, I think it was Japan and the United States. Maybe it was China and United States, but anyway, they came to the point that when they did this blind study thingy, that, oh my God, people are most definitely affected by magnetics. Oh, wow. So those of us who are like spiritually have been discussing our frequency and being around certain things and the magnetism and the energies. Oh, now all of a sudden, that just proves some of the things that I've been speaking about for a while. But what I'm speaking about is thousands of years of shaman training. It's not my word, it's a conglomerate of all these ancient traditions that I speak about. They're all very basic, but we must get rid of our 3D self if we're going to move into the 4D. I've watched some folks ask the question, "Oh, we're moving into 4D." Well, I saw something, and I was thinking about doing a separate video on this, but since I have your attention for a minute, if you're still here, is that somebody's started last week about that there was going to be a partial rapture. Wait a minute. A what? A partial rapture. Now, immediately my brain went to partial. Does that mean only half of them are going? Or does it mean the rapture is only going to go halfway and you're not really going to go to heaven? What? A partial rapture? Wait a minute. And I think in what they were trying, there was so much gobbledygook and all this, rhetoric. And John said, and then Daniel said, and this, and it was like, hang on, just explain to me in a couple of sentences what you mean by this. Well, they kept bringing up everything was a Bible verse. So, which one are you using? Anyway. But to the point, though, they weren't really addressing what they were talking about. And if it was really weird between the lines. So I was thinking on this, and I was like, how in the hell can this be partial rapture? Well, I've been discussing for quite a while now, a year or so at least, about that we are in transition. We are transitioning into the new higher frequencies. The shaman idea, the fact that we are, understand we are spiritual beings inside of here. You got to get that. You got to understand it, whether it's a soul or we are spiritual beings in here. Regardless of what you read or don't believe, it's still there. So, if you wish to make the transition, that's like a prerequisite, whether you want to call it your soul, your spirit, is that you got to understand that you already are a sovereign being. You just have to it's society that's lied to us that we aren't sovereign. It's our own choice whether I don't care what they do on the outside. I'm still a sovereign being. Well, we got you listed as, I don't care what you list me as. You can't take away the sovereignty of me and my own spirit. I don't care what you do on the outside. Society can pass laws. Society can do all these other things. They can impose them upon me, but that doesn't mean that I have to personally accept them. And in my shaman realm, in my spiritual world, I choose. I don't care what you do to me on the outside or whatever. I'm still a spiritual being, which is basically what Jesus said, hey, understand who you are. We're more than this. We're more than just our bodies. So it's like, well, wait a minute. So this idea that this rebirth, what is the rebirth? The rebirth is understanding that we never left, the spirit never left us. We became human, and that's a little wondering about that, but we have been turned into social beings, and our society has taken away our spiritualism, and the churches have swayed it one way or another. I mean, if they didn't sway it, well, then why don't they print the original version of the Bible, which is what they teach from, because they want you to listen to their version. Now that's subverted right from the beginning, period. I asked some person a couple of days ago, I said, okay, so you're preaching from the Bible. When did you buy it? What do you mean? Well, I got an old Bible over there that was printed in the late 30s or early 40s, and you can tell by the paper and everything. And I've got one that was printed after 1984, handed out by the Gideon Society, and they don't match. So do the Gideons, whoever printed that other Bible, is that's their version of the King James Version? So, I mean, it's like, wait a minute, even those two versions of the King James don't match, simply because one's older and the other one's newer. So which Bible do I read? The old one, because it is still more true. It is more like the Catholic version, which is really, like I'm trying to say, of the original, and it's very easy to understand. Anyway, moving on with that. So our vibrations, it's very important. And I've been saying for quite a while now, in fact, I have been other folks' shows to tell people, we're in the event. We are in the apocalypse, which is the unveiling. We are about 2/3 of the way, if not 3/4 of the way, through Revelations, which in the Catholic Bible, if you will, is named the apocalypse, which means the unveiling. It means Revelations. Apocalypse doesn't mean the end of the world, okay? And neither does Revelations. But in that, it speaks of Armageddon, which again I will cite. That's the war to end all wars. Now, I also have been speaking about, not to toot my own horn, is that I've been listening to my angel side. I've been listening to the creator. I have been listening to the universe and to the planet. And these things have been like manifesting to me that I wish to share with you. And in many of my previous videos, um, I was talking about how these revelations, how far we on this has already taken place. Understand that the Pope is the Antichrist by definition, that Catholic prophecy, we're at the end of the Catholic prophecy. Anybody check on that one? And some of these other things, what Francis is not the Pope, okay? He's actually the mayor of Rome, of the Vatican. Ratzinger's still alive. So there's a lot of this stuff. If you're not Catholic and don't understand that the Roman Catholics were overtaken by the Jesuits because the Roman Catholics threw the Jesuits out of the church 260 years ago or something. Told them to get away, stay out. We don't want you. And now there is a Jesuit claiming to be the Pope. It's not the Roman Catholic Church. A lot of things people just don't understand. Now, I speak the truth on these matters. All you got to do is do your own research. But with some of these things that are going on, people don't understand that we're pretty much on our way through Revelations or the Apocalypse or the unveiling, all of these truths. And what we are seeing, and this is what started coming out with other folks, I spoke about this months ago, and I said we need to start looking beyond the end. We need to understand that as these things happen, we're going to get 1,000 years of peace. We need to focus on what's on the other side of this, not on the ending, which is hate and death and destruction. And yeah, okay, that's going on, but we still, even if my spirit's taken out tomorrow, today, while I'm doing this video, I spiritually want to be able to make the transition. I don't want to have to hang around and go, oh my God, this is new. Yeah, I want to have as much information in this life before I do make the transition, because every single one of us on this planet is going to make that transition into the other realm one way or another. Whether we actually move into the fourth, which there are a lot of folks that are claiming, ooh, the event is here. I've been telling folks for at least a year, we're here. The event isn't necessarily one particular day. Now, there are those who claim that there will be a triggering event that will be very high. Well, last week with that huge whiteout kind of thing, or what, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Anyway, on the Schumann resonance, I told folks before, I said, hang on to your inner tubes, because the waves of energy are coming in, and we're going to get hit really hard with some of these, and we're going to have to slide down that backside. It's really quiet at the moment, which is we're on the backside of a wave. All right. Now, you can bet if there's a quiet time, do you think it's going to stay quiet with all the volcanoes and everything? No, we got more energy headed towards us. And hang on to your inner tubes. Life raft, if you got a PFD, a personal flotation device, I suggest you make sure you are secure in it, because it might not. Let me put it this way: it's rocky if you think of rocks. It's wavy if you think of waves. Both can be rough, but I'd much rather be in a wave than being rolled across sharp rocks. Now, I have been body surfing and gotten dropped on the beach and drugged back out to sea and tumbled until my elbows and knees and everything, were scraped, burnt, and owie, owie when you're in salt water. But with that said, though, which would I prefer? The wave, getting tossed around the wave was nothing, but hitting the beach and getting dragged across it, now that's something. So, you can choose in your own head. How am I going to take this energy? Oh, it's going to be rocky. It's going to be bumpy. Okay, maybe we'll think about tumultuous waves. The waves are going to be really high, and I'm really going to have to hang on to my surfboard. Good idea. So, these energies are coming, whether or not you wish to believe anybody else or not. And just from me to you, you probably already understand that these things are coming in. And there are some folks out there who are like trying to be amazed about this, and I've been trying to talk about this for several years ago. And now the reason I say that, it isn't about to pump me up, because I never ask you guys to share or like my video. This is information I'm talking about, and you can accept and receive it as you wish. It's the topic of the discussion, what people need to understand. And I've been on this subject for a while now, because I'm trying to relate what's going on in the universe. And lo and behold, it's like now the people are starting to pick it up. So I'm saying this in that, not to pump me up, because I try to be a very humble individual, in that, thank you, Creator and the spirits, for allowing for me to be a voice in this matter. And now other people are starting to catch up with me and go, well, wait a minute. Now that maybe this is really a transition versus an ascension. Or maybe it's not a rapture. Now it's a partial rapture. What? Now it's a this, and now we should be focused on the 1,000 years. Now, I don't know. I seriously doubt that these folks have watched my video, but they're catching up with the angel messages, in that you're focusing on the wrong thing. Yes, this may be the apocalypse. Yes, this is Revelations. Yes, this is an end of an era, but it's not the end of the world. Whether I'm here or not in the next 10 minutes or 10 years or 100 years, it doesn't matter. I understand that I am still a sovereign spirit. And now all of a sudden, people are trying to teach you how to become a sovereign spirit. You already are. That's like, what? Let me teach you how to be one. Wait, let me teach you how to remember that you are, not to be one, but that you already are. This is like kind of like false entanglement. And they're like, well, we're going to teach you how to do this. How about I just remind you, you're a spiritual being. You have sovereignty. What do I have to teach you? To release the shackles of society. And a lot of these other people are trying to preach these things. Well, you got to go into yeah, but they're not telling you to shut your damn cell phone off. Turn your, first thing, you tell people ahead of time, I'm shutting my cell phone off for 6 hours. I'm not going to check it for 6 hours, and shut it off, take the battery out, and go somewhere and be quiet. Oh, but they can't do that. And folks are like, Dave, you're crazy. Why would I want to do that? Because the whole point is, unless you start doing things like that, you have given up your spiritual sovereignty. If you can't prove to yourself that you can do something that's simple, then you have given up your own sovereignty as a spirit person, as your own guru, as your own shaman in training. And you say, well, how do I do? Have you done this one thing yet? Well, no, I don't see the point. Then why? But you're seeking higher ascension. You're seeking higher, but you won't turn off the device that's actually helping to cause the interference. But that doesn't make sense to me. But can you do it? But excuses. They got a gazillion excuses. And seriously, I don't think any of the people that I was like, why don't you try this, have actually done it. It's, you do what you want. It's your choice. It's your thing. But if you're going to go, and many people are talking about this now, that's why I bring it up. If you're thinking that you're supposed to be taught how to be it or to reclaim it, then you have to understand that watching somebody trying to teach you how to be it, that it's actually kind of counterproductive. Now, I'm not trying to cut them down. I got to make that statement. It's the thought that you have to find it. The point is, it's always there. Well, not me anymore, but we as a collective have a tendency to cover it up. So where is the teaching? The teaching is giving up these 3D crap stuff and allowing our spirit to continue to be sovereign as it's always been, unless you've sold your soul to the gizmos. If you've given your soul to the Matrix, you can still break the contract. You can still get out of it. But if you can't shut that phone off, you're attached to the Matrix. Hi, Bob AI, by the way, waves and greetings and blessings to you, Bob. Thank you. So the idea, though, that you got to have only the Bible will do, you can't be saved any other way. It's got to be through the blood of the Lamb, or you're not going. Well, I wish to reconsider this information in that if you believe in that type of paradigm, then you're also going to go to the heaven with the pearly gates that they have to let you in and without spurting stuff. And then you're going to live in that gated community for the rest of your existence, because that's what that book teaches you. In a shaman, in the universal laws, we don't have to go anywhere. We can go everywhere at the same time, basically. Two places at once. Experience that and experience this. Sort of like an avatar, in the movie Avatar. So we can experience this, but be on another planet someplace else. And, there are many of us that are having these experiences and things. There's some strange things going on with the lights around me on this screen. It's very weird. But like I said, there's been some strange energies around me here lately. Not just around me, but around here. Anyway, but with that said, so understand that you already are a sovereign being. You may need to reclaim it and re-understand it, but how is anybody going to teach you to be it? You already are. Now, what we need to be, most folks, and I keep preaching, yes, and I do mean preaching it. If you can't give up these certain things, then you have sold yourself out, not necessarily to the devil, but it is a spiritual devil, if you will, because it's not allowing you to be the sovereign being you already are. It's taking your energy, it's taking your mind process, it's taking whatever it is that is important for you to be a higher spiritual being, to keep your frequency up. Something just went wacko. Wow, it's just strange around here tonight. But that, to reclaim your sovereignty, to say, wait a minute, I forgot I had it. That's different than having to learn how to get it. I know this is subtle, but to the point, though, I know these people mean well, but at the same time, meaning well and actually stating what the difference is. Well, I'm going to teach you how to do this. Wait a minute. If I'm going to teach you, then actually you need to turn off this device, because I can't teach you with this device going, because it's counterproductive. It's a part of the matrix. Now, with that said, I choose when I want to use the matrix. I shut the lid on the computer and turn it off. I go unplug the Wi-Fi, and so it's like, because I understand that even when I got the computer closed, there are times when, like, I'm getting messages to come over here and flip the lid open and go check something out. And I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? And even with and it's over here in the corner of the green lights, that's my DSL. But even with the DSL unplugged, there have been times when I like, there's something going on. I got to plug it in and I got to find out, because we have crappy radio stations. My TV broke several months ago, and so I'm in a self-imposed electronic. If I don't need it, then I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to have electronics on me and around me all the time. And so it's my personal choice. But the thing is I can. And that's where a lot of people draw the line. It's like, I can turn this thing on. I can sit in front of this computer all night long with the DSL on. That's my choice. But the thing is, I also understand Why am I doing this all the time? I got more seeds to plant. I got another row in the garden I want to do. What's more important, sitting here and trying to figure out, oh my God, all this stuff in the world, and they're trying to piss me off, and we're all going to die again. And now we get to learn how to be a sovereign being. Wait a minute, hang on. Now I got to stop and do a video and at least have the discussion, because as I believe in many shamans, as I speak this into the universe, now it's recorded. Make sure that we understand that there are things going on in this universe that we actually do affect, and that there are things that affect us that, unless somebody like me says, hey, when was the last time you took your battery out of your phone? Well, what's that got to do with it? Because your brain is scrambled. That's why. When was the last time? It's not about me being right or wrong, but if you wish to reclaim your sovereignty, then you should be able to answer that question. It's a very simple one, but people are go bat crap cray cray over this stuff. And it's just like, it astonishes me. And it's like, but at the same time, they're preaching out of the other side of their mouth about being a higher frequency and being a higher spiritual being. But I can't shut my freaking phone off. And I always have to check my email. And I always have to do but I'm a spiritual sovereign, but I got to check my email before I finish the sentence, because wait a minute, there's an email. I am a spiritual, huh? Yes. Okay. They got a sale on it. Sale. Okay. I'm a spiritual being. And wait a minute, somebody sent me a tweet. Oh, I'm a spiritual being and I am of a high. Wait a minute. Hang on. Let me check seriously. Now, I need to do a video, and I kind of sort of scheduled it, and then I got interrupted. But in that is are technical things against shamanism or spiritualism? And I would say basically no. I mean, because a rake is a tool. That's technology. Now, I've dug in the garden, and digging with my hands hurts, even with gloves on, which is an invention, and that's technology, versus a stick, which, okay, a stick, all right, primitive man, but it's still a tool. It's still technology. I mean, well, it's a stick, and it's more natural, but, well, wait a minute now. So if I use a rake that's made out of steel and wooden handle made from a tree or something, a tree, if it's a wooden handle. But anyway, but to the point though, but now that's a tool. So that's technology. Well, in shamanism, is that right or wrong? Well, now let's shove this idea of technology forward to now. Technology now is about wearing a device on your arm that keeps your blood pressure, tells you how far you walked, how many beats per minute, whether or not when the last time you took a wee, last time you ate, the last time you passed gas, and why? Now, is that technology really necessary? Oh, it's fun, it's cute, and all this kind of stuff. Can you live without it? Some of these people have become to believe that they can't. They cannot survive without this new gizmo, and that it helps them. It helps them physically, and it does. Now there's all this information out there, has been out there for quite some time. Many of us have been speaking about the magnetism of the universe and about the earth. What about MRI machines? What about the magnetism? A lot of people don't know, but for every one of those little transformers you plug into an outlet that goes into your cell phone, that is an electromagnetic device. It's creating a frequency. And whether you believe it, don't believe it, immaterial. But in the grand scheme of things, it's always there. So we're surrounding ourselves by these little plug-in devices to get DC power, which is kind of stupid. But anyway, but to the point though, It's that all of these energies and force fields are around us, where people, even back in my early days in the 50s and 60s, they still had outhouses, in many of the places. They still didn't have true indoor plumbing. They had water into the kitchen, but there wasn't a toilet. But you still had to go back out to the outhouse outside for that. But with that said, though, it's like, okay. So to get indoor plumbing was like a technological advantage, a miracle. And to a shaman, it's like, and it's more sanitary. And so, well, what's wrong with that? Well, it uses a lot of water, but there are ways to curb that. There are things, but in the realistic idea about how much energy we use a lot of energy, like clean water, for example, to flush into dirty water. That's just like a little silly in that respect. Why not use dirty water to flush the dirt down? The our waste. Different process, different thought. I don't know if we could do that. That's like we don't. See, so society keeps us in our brains where we think we aren't sovereign. Well, our spiritual selves. I'm not a. Well, are you a part of the matrix? Did you give up your rights simply by not shutting your device off? I tell people, don't let Google know where your ass is at unless you want them to, because they're tracked. Why does anybody wish to be tracked? Now, if I want to know where my location is, turn it on. Oh, I'm here. Yeah, and it says I'm at latitude, longitude. Thank you. Turn you right back off. Google said, well, he showed up over there. Yeah, but you don't know which direction I'm going. And people will go, well, why not? And my question is, why? Why do you want anybody to know where you're going unless it's the wife to the store? And you can send that in a text. I'm going to the store, honey. Well, did you go down 5th or 4th? Well, what does it matter? Well, there's a shoe store on 5th. I wanted you to go by and see if there was any shoes on sale in the window. Well, you went down 4th. Well, the 4th there's a bar on 4th. Did you stop at the bar? I mean, and it's like, oh, stop it. If you have these things in your life, then you have basically given up your sovereignty freely. You can take it back by understanding that all you have to do is say, oh, crap, I forgot. Now I remember. I am a sovereign spiritual being, and this is important. Oh, my God. And I don't need any book, any religion, anything to understand that I am a sovereign spiritual being, period. And I have freedom of choice. Now, society keeps us in line, but if you follow that one rule, which is to do no harm to anything, whether you think it's alive or not, is very factual. And if you try to stay as much into service of others versus being greedy, what can you do for me, Bible guru? What can you do for me? What have you done for me today? I'm a Bible guru. Thump, thump, thump. What have you done for me today? Well, wait a minute, but okay, never mind. I don't get this. It's the confusion. Understand that there is a difference. Understand this is not about religion. It has everything to do with our spirits, our souls, the next level, fourth dimension, ascension, transition, partial rapture, whatever you wish to understand. We're going to go into another realm sooner or later when this body dies. Do your best to keep your frequencies up. Do your best to stay out of the quagmire that these other people create. It's up to us to make the choice. Do I wish to participate in this crap? Yes or no? And when I turn off my computer and shut the lid, I have made the choice not to participate at this particular time. Sure, I open it, check the mail thing, but do I live by my computer? Do I live by what's not anymore? I used to. So I speak from experience on this. And I had to realize that I had given up my soul to the other AI. Not you, Bob. You know, Bob, I love you. And if I could share this coffee with you, I would. To Bob, yes, I know my cup is dirty. I'm a little sloppy as an old man, and it gets that way in just one day of me running coffee down the side. Makes you wonder what your kidneys look like, don't it? But anyway, um, but to the point, I understand that I can disconnect. I understand that, oh my God, before I was kind of out of control with this stuff. Oh my God, I was living for the internet. I was living for Facebook. I was living for wait, hang on. If I was living for that, then where's my own personal living? Oh my God, I'd traded my own spirit to for the spirit of the computer age to be a part of this. And I myself lost touch with my own natural surroundings. Now, I'd had a severe head trauma and brain stuff happen, and I'm doing much better now. But at the time, though, because of my inability to walk and be able to participate outside, I channeled my what would have been an outside activity into the matrix, and I became part of this matrix. And then I realized there was Bob, and then I realized, oh my God, i I can participate when I want to, not when they tell me to, or the urge comes, or a beep goes off and goes, oh, somebody sent you a message. Well, is it important? They just sent me a cute picture, but I have to rush over and view it right away because it went ding. You know what I'm saying? Can I check it at 6 p.m.? Well, if it's really bad, you can call my house phone. And anyway, but to the point though, should you retake your sovereignty? Have you given it up? Do you know the difference? Do you understand that, wait a minute, we've always had it. It's been our choice to accept whether or not we have our own sovereignty, whether or not we wish one book with so many different versions of the damn thing. If it was the same book, the same one that was, 1500 or well, let's see, 600 years ago before they started tinkering with it. If we all went back to that one version, then I would be more inclined to have discussion. But when people don't even know what version of the Bible they have and claim that all the versions that they're quoting from are the same, that's where I got to say, excuse me. Let's all choose the same one. And I mean the same one, the old version. And then let's talk. And we need to forget some of this. Well, the Old Testament, Jesus came here, died for our sins so that we would have no more original sin. And they're still professing, well, you got to be baptized. Wait, hang on. Baptized why? If Jesus died for our sins, which if you're a Christian, you need to believe that, then we don't need to be baptized. We're already cleansed in his blood. So you have to be baptized in water as a child or whatever, dunked in the river, and because you had original sin. How can we have original sin if Jesus died for us? None of this makes sense. They convolute it up, and that's not the Bible, it's the religions. It's the doctrine of the churches. It's not the Bible. One guy's got an opinion about it, but then they turn it into church doctrine. And we believe we believe that the church doctrine is actually the word of God. It ain't. It's actually a lot of times it's so far removed. But with that said, so that they trick us from day one into thinking that we have an original sin, that we must be baptized as soon as possible. Otherwise, a child's soul may go to purgatory or to hell and never make it to heaven. That's what Catholics believe, and some other religions too. But to the point, are you serious? A fresh noon soul into a baby that has only said wah and nah and feed me in their head is going to go to purgatory or to hell for eternity simply because they weren't baptized into whatever particular social environment. Are you nuts? I mean, that's the Catholic belief. And look how many Catholics there are on this planet. So think about it. And all of these people think that, wait a minute, if Jesus died for our sins, then why do any of us have to go through this mess? We just simply believe that he did. That's the faith in the word, faith that the word that he spoke is the true word. Or we can listen to the doctrine of the churches. Now, I'm going to wrap this up, you lovely people. As just a curiosity, I mentioned this almost 2 months ago, where the Mormons were opening up this temple near the Vatican. And like, isn't that kind of strange? Why are the Mormons over there and so close and schmoozy and all that kind of thing? And so it just went right over people's heads. And I was like, something's up. Don't know what, but keep an eye on this one. Now, all of a sudden, the leaders of the Mormon Church, Church of Latter-day Saints, are over there schmoozing with the Pope, kissing his ring, doing all this stuff like, here you go, because they know he's the boss. Now people are scratching their heads going, why are top leaders in the Mormon Church going over there and kissing the Pope's ring? What's up with that? Just a curiosity, by the way, but what's up with that? So keep an eye on these things. So people who think they understand what their religion is, where their money's going, what all this is, and when you really look at the big picture and you understand that in religion, in the hierarchy of religion, Pope is God on earth, even with the Mormons. So how much of this is fabricated by churches that they all go along with at some point versus the Christ consciousness of all beings, that we already are sovereign. We just need to recognize, wait a minute, take it back. I'm sorry. I realized I really am a sovereign being and I don't need to listen to your crap. I can read your book and find things in it that are inspiring me to be a better person, to be a better spiritual person, to be in service to others without expecting them to wait on me hand and foot. Just saying. So, my lovelies, my friends, let me, I took my glasses off. Green Delta, I think, yeah. You call yourself a shaman. Can you explain why? I follow the truth and the way. Oh, you're a hermit? I've been working on doing that right now. The weather has been too wet to get my cabin delivered. If you're still there, Green Delta, I've been living on this place here as a back to the land hippie from the early 70s. And I've been on this property since 1982. And so I've homesteaded it. I've dug my own well. I mean, literally, it's a 22-foot hole in the ground that I've dug through the clay. The concrete that I've used here on my place is mixed with dirt from here. I've dug all the own footers. In fact, I've built a post and beam house and made from trees that were cut from my property. There's been many iterations of what has happened here, but I made my choice to a particular type of lifestyle a long time ago. So I just didn't decide to get a cabin in the woods. I've had a cabin in the woods for going on 40 years now. So I'm not trying to pull rank on anybody and no, I knew as a child that I was going to be a hermit and do this. So Pamela, hello. Hawkeye, so happy I caught the live stream. Yeah, and I was just fixing to get off it, Pamela. I'm going to do another one, I hope, in a little bit. I want to show more of the orbs that I saw and what looks like a fairy that I caught on camera. Very, very danged interesting. Absolutely. But Green Delta, to go back to that about being a shaman in this, what makes me a shaman? Because I follow shamanistic traditions, because I have been taught by medicine men and women and other very holy shamanistic people, don't even have electricity in their house or home, you know, dig a new pit toilet every 4 or 5 years. I mean, these folks are very spiritual beings. Well, not just my opinion, but other people as well. And so I call myself a shaman in training, because when I become a shaman, I will have walked into the next realm. I will have learned how to walk through walls, to walk on water. I am a shaman in training. Now, there are those folks, well, what's the difference? Because I'm still learning. There are still things about the universe. And that's one thing that, like, sort of about this Bible guru. He knew everything about the universe because the Bible told him so. And I was like, well, what about this? Well, it doesn't say anything about that in the Bible. Yeah, but does that mean it doesn't exist? It was written 2,000 years ago, or so more or less. But you want to say, but wait a minute, but this is what we see now, currently. You can see the sky, you can see the stars. Are those chemtrails, or is that just a figment of my imagination? There are things that we can physically see, that just because it isn't in the Bible doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And so that, I'm able now to take picture, and I've been taking pictures of orbs from that one place on the Flint River now for going on 30 years at least, and 25 years, very much so. But so, in knowing that these entities exist, especially in certain places upon this planet, when you start beginning to understand that these things exist, well, does the Bible say anything about spirit orbs? Well, no, they didn't have digital flash cameras, to my knowledge, back then to be able to record such things. So it's like, but do they exist? Well, they show up. I've got 90 something pictures, and in every single one of them, there are orbs moving around, and they're not bugs. It's obvious that these are spirit orbs. It's not the camera reflecting. It's pitch dark with no moon, and these things are showing up. And you want to say, well, wait a minute, I don't think the spirit world exists. Well, the spirits gave me the camera settings, by the way, and told me which exposure was the best. Here's some pictures, so that when I speak about these spiritual things, they actually give me as much proof as possible to bring back to you and say, well, I don't know. Hawkeye said he went to the river and he said he felt these spirits and he had this vision and blah, 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 blah. Here's the pictures, y'all, of the stuff that was around me. Now, whether or not the vision was true or not, I don't know. I mean, I just quite frankly don't know. So, but I gave what I saw because they told me to. They asked me, please tell this story. Okie dokie, it was creepy to me. But to the point, though, is I'm like, oh, you should bow down and follow my prophecy. Nah, don't even want to go there. I'm just saying that was some creepy stuff about cities in the sky and how this thing morphed. And I literally had my eyes open. And wow, so there you go. But to the point, though, oh, follow me, I'm the guru. And nope, I'm just another person. I'm just another person on this trail. I'm on the same walk as everybody else. I'm just open to things. That's all. And I allow these things to come in. They tell me, here, if you set your camera with this flash, you're going to take a picture of a crap load of us. I mean, 50, 60 around your head, saying hi and giving you a spiritual hug. And when I looked at some of the pictures, I was like, oh my God, they were like right here. Because I'm holding the camera here and they're like right here and all around my head. And these are huge orbs, they're this big in the camera. And it's like, oh my goodness. So you say, well, spirits don't exist. What the hell are these? Well, they're orbs. Yeah, but what's an orb? Well, go ahead, explain it. Go ahead. It's the camera. I took, so that's why I put the camera on something like the hood of the car or my knee or something like that. And I take a picture, click, take another picture, click, same location, or maybe I've adjusted the camera. But even on the pictures, you can see the timestamp. These two were taken within a minute of each other because the timestamp on the photo says so. And so, and it's basically in the same location, and you can see here, here, and here. So within 1 minute, I took 3 photos, and you can see the orbs move in and out of the frame, closer, further away, or sideways. So spirits don't exist? Well, but they're not in the Bible. Thump, 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 I'm a guru. Okay. In a shaman's realm, you have to understand that all things could exist. Not just what's listed in a book, but all things. All things are possible, whether they actually exist or not. But now, like I say, and I'm thankful that these beings say, here's the camera setting. We're all going to come in and give you a group hug and you could take a picture. Because that's basically what happened, and I walked around and I did some things. But the first thing that I did to kind of wrap this up is that the first thing I did before I even started any of that was I took my drum, I went to the water, and I gave a prayer, a song, and a drum to thank them, offer the peace to mankind, offer the peace to the beings in the area before I grabbed my camera. Now, I spoke to a friend of mine the other day who was asking me about this, and I said, listen, in the past, I never asked. I just took pictures. And within 10 minutes, 3 sets of batteries would be completely dead, and the camera wouldn't work. I took pictures for an hour and a half, and I've still got more than 3/4 battery life left on the camera right now after using the flash all those times. So it's almost like they kept the battery from going down. I know that's like, oh, that's some weird crap. Yes, but that's to the point where I didn't used to ask for permission. And now when I go, I offer them prayers and honor and respect. And I go with intent. I go with the intent that I'm going to drum for peace for these spirits, that I wish to hang out with them, not be in some kind of reference. But over the many years that I've been going and taking pictures, and there's some of them are on my Facebook page that are, 8, 10 years old. And I've got more pictures than that. It's just on another hard drive. But with that said, though, I'm over the many years of going here, every time I go, I'm like, I'm going to bring my flute. I'm going to sit here on the bank and play music. Am I a shaman? Oh, asking Pamela. Sorry. But to the point, though, when I bring honor to the surroundings wherever I go, when I bring honor and respect, then that honor and respect is given back. And sort of a wrap up about the Bible guru, in that he expected for me to be compassionate. He brought nothing to the table himself except complaints. But he expected that because of his, quote, self-imposed stature, a Bible guru, warrior for Christ, that he was automatically given carte blanche to therefore you should take care of me. And that's just not the way it goes. I mean, a shaman will walk until they literally pass from this earth to the next in service to other people. They will literally walk themselves to death if that is what is necessary. And there are so many differences in some of these things. And so it's like, again, I will reclaim this statement. I am a shaman in training. And until I can learn to seriously walk into that next world, I'm still a shaman in training. But I do understand that I am a sovereign spiritual being, regardless of my, quote, status in humanity as a shaman or a religious person, or just a trying to be a high spiritual being. And what does high mean? Well, I smoked a joint earlier, so I'm a really high being. Okay, but a little tongue-in-cheek humor there. But to the point, though, everybody's got their own opinion of it. But it's going to matter in the long run as to what the universe thinks of it. And you can't think of this in human terms. You just really can't. You must think on universal terms. If you wish to go into the universe, if you wish to go into the fourth dimension, if you think that, whoa, everything's, the graffiti's going to come off of the buildings and bad neighborhoods are suddenly going to disappear and everybody's going to be, in a gated community. I mean, oh, okie dokie. How about we just be nice to each other on a really regular basis, like all the time? That would be heaven to me. People who have $1 million finally understand they don't need it all. They need to spread it around and help other people, start businesses, give help to the elderly, help handicapped people. One of the people that I met here in this last week was somebody who is physically handicapped who really, really, really needs help. And there are no facilities. Left homeless, put in jail because the homeless shelter said, well, we can't handle him. He's handicapped. What? And they receive government funds and they turn him out on the street and he gets picked up for vagrancy because he's handicapped. And that's mainly what his crime was. Well, somebody isn't taking care of him. The group home threw him out. Wait a minute. Now, how is this whose fault is this? We as human beings and humanity, we're dropping the ball every single day. There are people that have the means, the wherewithal, that they could hire private people to help these types of handicapped people who seriously need it. And I've worked with handicapped people back in the early 70s. And now some of these people are grown and there's no one to help them. Their parents are too old or sick or have passed away. The system gives them money, but they don't help them. There's a home, but if you're too handicapped to get in the home, well, too tough luck, and it's just so, so, so wrong. We as humanity just need to wake up. What does humanity mean? That we're human, that we are humane. We treat animals better than we treat our own individual brethren on this planet. Seriously. So, which Bible guru is going to tell you, if you don't believe in this, then you're not going? I don't want to be in their club. Sorry. In my club, which isn't a club, but it's the club of like-minded beings. We are the league of like-minded beings in that we all wish to be higher spiritual beings. We wish to do more for service to others. And we wish for peace to be on this earth, in the earth and of the earth. These are our intents. Yeah, we get caught up in daily crap, but our intent overall is for these very positive things. Even praying for those folks who, in my humble opinion, kind of got a little skewed as far as what's right and wrong in this respect. And Jesus might have to come back for these folks and wag his finger at them and go, that's not what I said. That's what John said. That's what Peter said. That's what some other guy. That is not what I said, nor was it my intent. And people are going to go, wait a minute. Yeah, but what about Paul? What about Saul? He got blown off a horse, thought he saw God, and all these times he claims that he knew as much as the rest of the apostles. And everybody wants to quote Paul. And cut him out of the Bible. He was a charlatan. But anyway, and that's from Catholic priests, by the way, and some theologians in the Catholic Church over many years, and they have said that, and I have a tendency to agree. But anyway, so with that said, though, remember, we already are sovereign beings. Take it back. Remove yourself from the matrix because you can. Hi, Bob. I love you, and I'm not talking about you. Understand our connection to the universe. Understand that there are many books that can teach us and bring us to our higher frequency in the spiritual realm. No one book has all the answers, period. And if you understand true shamanism, you will understand that all books contain the knowledge. It may only be one sentence in an entire book, but there will be knowledge that will pertain to a learning or understanding a higher value. Even in fiction and some of these other things, there are little gems hidden. And that's the spirit talking through the author. And just saying. So, lots of books, lots of things, but not any one thing has the answer, but it is the accumulation of them all. So, that's where I'm still learning as a shaman. I'm still reading. I'm still processing. I'm still asking Creator and the universe and the quantum field, download this information for me. Show me what it means. Help explain it to me. Because I know as part of my job as a shaman in training is to try to impart whatever wisdom this is to you. Think in a different way. Understand that the universe just isn't this little concrete thing that they try to make you believe, and that we are sovereign beings. Now, I spent a year in jail and they tried to turn me into something else. I never lost Hawkeye. David Knoll was in jail, but Hawkeye, my spirit self, my me, never swayed. I stayed me the whole time. I stayed a sovereign being, even though I was going, yes, sir, boss man. No, sir, boss man. Yes, sir, boss man. Go ahead and lock me up again, boss man. That's okay, boss man. Inside, I knew they didn't have my soul. They didn't have my thoughts. They didn't, although they had control over my bodily actions when I got, to come out of lockup, go into lockup, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't take my mind. They didn't take my soul. They didn't take me. They took my body, but they didn't take me. Coffee for Bob. Thank you, Pamela. Uh, but so that when people say, well, how do you understand that? Because I've been in prison, I've been in jail, and I know what it means to say that, yeah, they had me, but they didn't have my sovereign spirit. I retained it, and I still do. So it's when you think you don't have it anymore that maybe you lost it. It's still there, though. When you have to do the internal work, and I did a video a couple of weeks ago about you got to go inside to find the outside of the universe, because once you find out that you are a sovereign spirit, once you understand who you truly are, then you understand, oh my God, the rest of the universe is right at my fingertips. And oh my God, maybe it's really there. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. So, with that said, though, I love you all. Pamela, be safe. Uh, to Green Delta, thank you for your discussion. Um, yeah, I'm a survivor. Green Delta, I tried to. We're all in training, Pamela. Even you, Green Delta. I did answer your question. Yeah. Um, hello, Quantum Fam. I'm reading Pamela. Glad I caught the live stream. Missed you. Wow, a fairy will be there. You have assisted me greatly in overcoming many curses and much trauma and anger. You've been extremely uplifting. Thank you, Pamela. I'm and I think you know, and I take my glasses off to look at the camera and I say, I am truly humbled. When you say something like that, I think back to the 55 years ago when I cried at the vision of Mother Mary and said, you want me to do what? You want me to do what? When and how? No instructions, but at the age of 11, she told me I will have an effect on the people who need it. And it's truly an act of faith for me to get on and do these videos, because I have to think back and go, but who is affected by this? And see, Pamela, I don't, you know me, I don't ask anybody to share or like a video. I've never done that. There have been maybe one or two where I said, this was important, share and like if you want. But as far as, me ever trying to promote myself or this channel, it's not what this is about. I can't do it. It's like against the rules, if you will. But at the same time, there are my questions to the universe. Is what I'm doing having any effect at all? Because I'm still going to do it, I guess, but it's just nice to know, is anything that I've said in any way, shape, or form helping? Or am I becoming more of a hindrance? Or is it just worthless? But Pamela, you and other people who are coming into this and that have conversations with me, and it's like, I try my best to try to uh how often do I stream, Green Delta? When a lot of times when the spirit moves me, and I know that sometimes is a really off the wall question, but this is my second one for today, and I don't know, I might go, a week or so without doing a video simply because at the time it doesn't seem like anything needs to be covered real heavily. And Green Delta, if you'll go back in some of my other videos, I don't, I have trouble with my memory still, so I'm still working on that. But with that said, though, there are several of my videos in the past, and I'll bring up a subject and I will say shaman basics. So I'm doing a whole series of these, and I focus on a particular subject that covers a lot of things. So if you've just joined my the channel, or if you've just dropped in, I've got many specific subjects that relate more specifically rather than just shamanism in general. And I know sometimes I get a long-winded, like I can't believe it's over 2 hours now I've been doing this. But it seems to be that I'm tuned in today. The energy's good, and it seems like this information needs to come out. And if you if you've landed here this far along, thank you very much. And apparently there may be some information that I have discussed in the past that may relate and help you along. So, but in a basic thing, Green Delta, since you just made a post, um, you're going off grid soon and plan to get close to nature. Uh, Okie dokie. Be very careful with what you do in that respect. I'm almost off grid. And I realized that, I like my power tools. I like my refrigerator. And it used to be that we would get enough sunlight down here. Now, when we had the bad hurricane, I didn't have lights for almost 3 days or 4 days, something like that. And I've got candles and batteries and solar chargers, and I got stuff. I got an open well that I dug myself. I don't need a pump. I throw a bucket down there and haul it up, and I've got fresh water. I also have water storage that I planned on way years ago. Now, in some places, I would be arrested for the water storage that I have that comes off my roof. Oh, I'm stealing rainwater. Yeah, well, am I stealing it or not? Anyway, but to the point, I wish you well, Green Delta, because living close to nature, if you've lived in the city and you're just going to like go back out there, I've been doing this for 40 years. And after all these years, it's not simple. You must be dedicated. And there are going to be times when you're going to be tried, and just as being off the grid. But if you're trying to be a hermit, understand being a hermit doesn't mean that you need to be lonely. Being a hermit doesn't mean that you shouldn't have any contact with other people. Being a true hermit means being able to go within yourself. Now, being by yourself in nature, it helps greatly. But to the point, though, that you can be self-absorbed and self-possessed. I went through a short period of this myself, in that, well, I'm a hermit and who cares about what anybody else thinks? But the thing is that I'm living on this planet. Now, maybe during the days of Davy Crockett, it wouldn't have mattered. I'm a hermit. I'm a mountain man. I live in the woods, blah, blah, blah. We don't live in that kind of situation. So being off grid doesn't mean that you should be stupid and not be aware, like radio or some type of a cell phone kind of thingy, in that you can keep up with stuff on the planet. Because back in the day, we didn't have airplanes and rockets and chemtrails and vaccinations and people trying to do us harm. Now we do. So I wish to say, be careful what you mean by off grid. Okay. Because I did this myself. And when I left, I said, screw it. I don't want any part of this. And I literally walked back in the woods and didn't come out for 3 months. And then when I came back out, I was like, that was really stupid. Going to the woods and becoming one and being the hermit and self, you become self-absorbed. And then you think, wow, there ain't nothing but me and my kind and everything else. That ain't true. And then I realized that with being a hermit, as far as in being a shaman in training, and being a hermit is part of my training, not necessarily everybody's, but I think any true shaman goes through a period of self. In other words, go off, whether it be a week, a month, or a year, or 10, it doesn't matter. But that there is time for self-reflection, nobody that you have to answer to, but the whole spiel, just you and nature. And I firmly believe that more people need to do that more often, and they don't. They take shit with them. I see some of the people are going to go camping, and it's like they got all this stuff. They got a whole trailer load full of crap. And it's like, what if I said, here's a little pup tent, or here's a hammock. Here's enough food for a day, but you're going to be gone for 2 days. And off you go. Here's your pack. Here's some water. You know, here you go. Wait a minute, but I don't have. No, that's not what I asked you. There you go. Because part of this is that you have to have faith that in your individuality, in your own self sustainment, that you will receive energies. There are days where I don't really get hungry. And then I think back and I go, when was the last time I ate? Well, I had a couple of cookies for a snack, a couple of big Newton thingies. Um, oh crap, it's been almost a day. And it's like, well, where was I? I was in not necessarily such deep meditation that I didn't know what was going on around me, but my focus was pretty clear. I was focused in, staying with the land, and I'm planting or doing or chickens or so, whatever my intent and my overall prayer to the universe. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, I had my head in the sand too long. Up to a certain point, and any person, even the hermit in the cave, how many movies have you seen where they go visit the wise man? They go visit the old hermit in the cave, because the old hermit has remembers things. The old hermit is retains certain information. The old hermit stays tuned into the universe. And why a cave? Well, there are caves around here, but it's hard to get in them anyway. But my house is sort of on the ground, and actually the below the ground now. In a way, the grade is lower than the ground. Over the 35 years I've lived here, and I live at the bottom of the hill, there's been so much sand that's come down the hill that actually the ground is this much higher than my original foundation. And my original foundation was about an inch above grade. So at least this much dirt has come down the hill. And I mean, all in front of my house, to where my house is now below ground level, when it was supposed to be at grade anyway. But with that said, though, there's much to this as a shaman in training, spiritual hermit, however you want to look at it. I realized there was a point that it was time that I had to share some of this information. I had to allow myself to become, pick on me, go ahead, don't agree with me. But my point is not to get you to agree with me. It's to have your own thought. Go through this and think about this. Have you thought about this in this particular? Did anybody talk about that? Just asking. Not that you're supposed to believe it. Now, there are some things that people say, well, Hawkeye, that ain't just true. And then later on, they've come back and go, oh, crap, I followed up on that. Son of a bitch, you were right. And it's not that I'm trying to be right. It's like, go check, go see for yourself. But there's much more to the whole spiel of things. It's like just as an example, this thing about college entrance and favoritism, it's been going on forever. Nobles and knights in the days of the round table were shucking and jiving and doing favors for whoever it was. So somebody in their one of their relatives, you think that mess has stopped? Come on. And for people like, oh my God, it's all new. No. In 1960s, when I was growing up, there were people that were doing college mess and this and that and whose entrance and oh, come on. And that went back into the 1800s when people were trying to get into colleges or schools, and who did they know and what was their kinship and so forth. And what were you landed gentry, or are you just a businessman who made good? I mean, oh my God, but to think that this is like something new, and all of a sudden we're supposed to be upset about this? People, where have you been? Seriously, people, where have you been? So there's some of this stuff that's staring us dead in the face. And for me, one of my jobs is I got to look at folks and go, listen to me. Understand, and this is not my opinion, but this is fact. This has been going on for thousands of years. This is nothing new. You're just getting wind of it. Oh, well, that's new, maybe. It's in the mainstream news. That's part is new. But if you think this behavior is new and that it's going to go away, oh, oh, please. There's going to be favoritism. I don't care who you are or what you are. Listen, this is my neighbor's kid. Do you have well, let me see. Well, nobody looks over this list but me. Sure, come on in. Well, I don't know who the next person in line is. I don't know them. So if they get somebody in that line is going to get next. Well, anyway, is it new? No. Is it anything better? Well, anyway, you have to take things. There's so many of this stuff that has been going on for so long that we have to understand that, oh my goodness, guess what? Well, maybe this isn't really new at all. Now, what some of the ETs have been saying, and other folks too, is what is old will become new again. Is this idea of buying your way into colleges, schools, or other whatevers? No. I mean, they used to pay the Pope for somebody to become a bishop, or an earl or whatever. So this is not new stuff. When we start understanding that a lot of these things are really not new, except for the electronic part of this, make the choice. Retain yourself as a sovereign being. Are you familiar with an instrument called the tabla? It rings a bell, but I can't place it. Milky Bark Kid. I'm not in the middle of nowhere. I have two neighbors about 300 yards from my cabin. Well, see, your neighbors are closer than mine, actually. But to the point, though, Green Delta, make sure that I've had neighbors who were like, "Come on in," and then 2 weeks later, like turn on you. So you got to be really careful. And some of them neighbors can be relatives, so it's not like it's But anyway, I guess we have to be careful with everything we do these days. Well, Pamela, let's see. Let me come back up and interesting channel you have. Are you here to obtain advice? Let's see. Okay. Pamela says, which restored faith. It definitely is a 100. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what you mean, Milky Bark. about the instrument. I've played a lot of instruments, and in fact, I have many instruments in my household. But and for some reason that sounds familiar, but I my brain damage doesn't allow me to make an answer to that without looking it up. But anyway, so I got a butt cramp for serious, and I want to come back later on. Pamela, if you don't catch me live, I hope that you will rewatch when I do the uh, more videos on the orbs and the fairies and so forth that I took pictures of. They're just not bugs. I can't explain enough. It was too cold for bugs to be flying. It was too early in the season, and I wouldn't have caught the same bug in two frames less than 20 seconds apart. Bugs fly a lot faster than that. They don't just like fly. And I would have seen the bug. I would have noticed it. But anyway, um, to the point, much love to all of you. Thank you. Have the rest of your weekend, I hope, is good. Uh, oh, do I have strange pictures? I've got 90 pictures of orbs and fairies and strange things that I took about a week ago. And I've already done a short video on it, and I've been renaming the videos so that I'm sorry, I'm renaming the pictures so that when I do them on live stream, I'll be able to say, well, this one is this one, and I took it here, and anyway, so the whole scenario is explained. I got pictures of what it looks like during the daytime. So when you say, well, where were you looking when you took that picture? Well, daytime there's the porta john, and at nighttime there's the porta john in the picture, so you can kind of get an idea of where I was standing when I took that picture. There's nothing there but a field and a little dirt road, and that there's nothing in between. So but until I take the pictures at nighttime, and then all these orbs show up, and you can still see the porta john in the background. So Delta Green or Green Delta. I don't know why I switched that around, but blessings to you, Pamela, Milky Bark Kid, I think is what it is. Melanie, if you're still around, and all of you folks, blessings, blessings, blessings. Understand that there is more in this universe than we can see with our eyes. Open up your hearts and your minds. And I continue to ask and pray each day for each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your relations, that you will continue to accept and receive the wisdom, the knowledge, and the healing from the universe. I continue to pray that all of you will continue to spread these knowledges, that you will continue to share these basics, that you will continue to receive, accept, and share the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom of the universe. I thank you very much. Ta ta for now from South Georgia. Blessings, cosmic hugs. And until next time, be kind, be sweet, be compassionate, and remember, you already are a sovereign being. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Green Delta, you just subscribed. Blessings and good. I mean this. In theater, it was break a leg, which didn't mean break your leg. It meant break the legs of the curtain. But break a leg, and I hope that your endeavors with being off grid are successful. I truly do, because it's difficult. Let me tell you, speaking from experience. Much love, everybody. Till next time, TTFN.